رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات, especially for Ghais Saleh Muhammad ibn Ali Muhammad, Amira Khatun, Mir Iradat Ali, Sayyida Begum, Sayyid Muhammad Abid, and आपके तमाम मरहुमीन के लिए अल-फातिहा मा सलवात अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبل وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده, الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وأجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين, ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين, ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد, عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to gather here tonight with all the difficulties and the rain. Alhamdulillah, we have been blessed for a gathering which is full of forgiveness. In the eyes of Allah, everything that is the source of maghfirat becomes the most lovable. Because of this reason, the night of Qadr is valuable to Allah because it provides forgiveness, maghfirat. The Makan of Arafah becomes valuable to Allah because it provides forgiveness. And all of the maqamat depending on the different levels of providing that forgiveness. The time the same way, the gatherings the same way. So this gathering is one of the gathering in which excessive amount of forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes place. And the reason of forgiveness is associated with the descent of the malaika. Because the night of Qadr is tanazzalul malaikatu warruh. The more the influx, the descent of the malaika, the more forgiveness, because the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. That's the principle. It's not a rocket science. Just compare the riwayat and hadith and try to reflect, which is the Quran always emphasizes tadabbur wa tafakkur. More than Quran asking us to aqamus salat, it asks us to do tadabbur wa tafakkur. Contemplate and ponder upon the signs that is within us and around us. So Alhamdulillah, the University of Imam Hussein, the Mimbar, the Zikr of Imam Hussein have brought us to a level that we could have a primary understanding which will allow us to reflect. The point is of reflection. The Masaib, the Marsiya, the Noha, the poetry, the art, the signs, the beauty of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the Majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam have raised us in our capacity to have that ma'rifat and understanding of the Imam. So therefore, the greater the presence of the malaika, you tell me, where would be malaika most present? And if there is more malaika, celestial, luminous bodies present which are pure, then obviously that presence will bring about more mercy of Allah. If there be a place where there is no malaika, That place is not a place for us to go. That may be a pub, that may be a club, that may be this. Or the things that we are supposed to speak which will make the malaika go away. Maybe a foul language, maybe a style of speaking, for example, maybe a way of speaking, to the elders where the malaika flies away. So that means that the presence of holiness and malaika is not there. So that speech should be avoided. That speech should not be spoken. That place should not be given. Gone. So the more the influx of malaika, the more forgiveness, the more barakah, the more presence of Allah. So tanazzalul malaikatu warruh becomes khairun min alf shahr, because the malaika are descending. When we read Ziyarat Jami Kabira, which is one of the authentic ziyarat of the Imam, which comes from an Imam Hadi alayhi salam, in which we address to the Imam, because Ziyarat Jamia is a general ziyarat, could be recited to any Imam. It has been particularly written for Amirul Mu'mineen from the 11th Imam, from the 10th Imam, Imam Hadi alayhi salam, but it could be recited to any Imams, and the ulama, they say that this could be recited for Hazrat Abbas, for Hazrat Zainab, for Hazrat Masuma salamullah alayha as well, because of the qualities and attributes mentioned in that ziyarat is also associated to them as well. Although they may not be masum in that sense of the word, because we have only 14 masumin designated, but they were also masum in another way, and they also hold that maqam of kamal and perfection, which we'll deal with it a little bit later on, particularly in regards to Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam and Hazrat Zainab as well. So now in that ziyarat we say Assalamu alaikum ya ahlebait nabuwa wa mukhtaliful malaika. My salams and salutations to the ahlebait of nabuwa and mukhtaliful malaika. Mukhtalif means that ikhtilaf. Ikhtilaf means coming and going, opposite to each other. This is ikhtilaf. If there is ikhtilaf, they say this. I say something, you say something back to me. There's a total like that. Ikhtilaf and khulf. It also comes from khulf, mukhalif. Khulf is in front. Muqabil, mukhalif, it's in front. So ahlebait alayhimus salam's haram and the shrines are a place where there's continuous malaika coming and going. It's like tanazzalul malaikatu warruh, that the malaika always coming on the graves of the masumin and returning back. In a narration it says that there's 70,000 malak at the haram of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein doing astaghfar for every zawar that comes. So that makan, that place becomes close and valuable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is so much valuable that it is one of the places that under the dome of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the du'as are not rejected. It's a guarantee that salat is accepted. Right? The majlis of Imam Hussein, the same. If a person sheds one tear, which is equivalent to the wing of a mosquito, all of the sins of that person is forgiven. So wherever forgiveness takes place, wherever malaika descend, that place becomes greater. Now you tell me, is the daraja of malaika greater or is the daraja of masumin greater? Masumin greater. In the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, not just the malaika comes, but the Bibi herself comes in the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So what do you expect that majlis to be? How valuable that majlis would be, that gathering would be, where Bibi Fatimatu Zahra salamullah alayha herself comes to that majlis, and she is the key of everything. Bifatimata wa abiha wa baliha wa baniha wa sir, the secret that resides, was sirrul mustawdi'a fiha. We don't know what that is. And she is the pivotal reality for Hadith-e-Kisa as well, as we know. And she is the key for everything. A person like her, who was supposed to be from the Zalimin, from the Qatilin, wa Shayat, wa Bayat, wa Tabiat ala Qatle, becomes Assalamu alaikum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibbahu. Why he became from the awliya? What type of awliya? An awliya Allah for who the sixth Imam, who's Imam Mesum, he says that may my life be sacrificed to the ashab of Hussein. Value of the sixth Imam life, the ashab. Where the Imam is saying, may my life sacrifice to them. He's pointing out to the daraja and level of the ashab. Who are they? Awliya Allah wa ahibbahu. Now, Hur, we don't find him in the pages of history at the time of Hazrat Ali. Where was he? Was he with the first Khalifa, second Khalifa? We don't know. At the time of Imam Hassan, his presence in the name, any name exists in the books of history? We don't know. At the time of Prophet, we don't know. But only Hur is seen on the, in the history or in the pages, is where Imam Hussein. Who he was, maybe we know about his clan. We say, oh, he was from a tribe which was Shuja and this and that and the other. And then they say, oh, this tribe, in this tribe there was this man whose name was Hur and he was a great soldier, very strong and this. It could be that, like Ibn Ziyad, he used to hire and rent people, mercenaries, to go to the job. That's why, that's what we kind of understand in regards to Hur, what he was doing. Hur comes and stops Imam Hussein. He says, I'm not going to allow you to go. This is my task. This is my job that I have taken. Then Imam Hussein says, well, they invited me. Well, I don't know. I didn't invite you. He's a very, no side type of person. I don't really care. I'm just doing my job. I've been asked not to do. Right? But if you look at it, he has a bit of understanding of who Fatimatu Zahra is. Right? So, when Hussein wants to leave, he stops and Imam Hussein says, we know that jumla. Then may your mother cry on you. Then Hur replies, if your mother was not who I know, I would have said the same thing. That ihtaram, that respect, that love. Praying behind the Imam, as we know. Right? That doesn't mean that this person in his life was, mashallah, like Habib, masala, for example, Habib. When Imam Hussein writes to Habib, he says, Faqih. You are a Faqih, Mushtahid Faqih, come for my help, O Habib. Habib was one of the shurta, one of the polices of the 5 police force which Imam Ali appointed. Shurta to Khamis, they were known as. Habib was one of them. Habib was one of them who was a student in occult science of Imam Hussein, who knew the future, and Ajaib wa Gharaib. Habib was a student of Amirul Mu'min. Habib and Mesum, they used to discuss with each other their future, how they're going to die. Mesum was the same. He would, water the plant in which he's going to be, killed, which is going to be, hanged, right? How come? Because he knew the future. To know the future, to know the ghaib, it's not a joke. It's not just they hear that, oh, yeah, the Masumin have told me, but to be steadfast in what they have been destined for. This substance is a substance of an Imam. Because Imam Hussein knew, and he was strong. He didn't, give in, right? Imam Hussein knew before that he will be killed in Karbala. Right? So Imam Hussein knew it, and he was strong in that, which shows that Imam Hussein had a very unique type of substance, a soul. And in regards to Mesum, is the same. Like I said, 14 Masumin, but there are some ashab, but there are some families from the ahlebait who have reached that level of kamal and perfection. Mesum the same way. He knew the future, that he's going to be killed. But after knowing the future as well, he was strong in that, but he was planting the tree and waiting for it. That when that will, anticipating. Because the awliya are those people in Khutbah Muttaqeen of Amirul Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha. Awliya are those people, their souls cannot stay in their body. They are just yearning, waiting to leave. The Khutbah Muttaqeen is also known as Khutbah Hammam. Hammam was a friend of Imam Ali, and he asked to describe, please tell me about Muttaqeen, what type of people they are. And Imam Ali was refusing to describe. And he forced Imam Ali so much, he said, okay, let's go. So they took like a couple of people, who were the ashab of Imam Ali, very close ones, because they are secrets. And Hammam as well in the desert. And there Imam Ali gave this khutbah hammam. As soon as Imam Ali finished the khutbah, Imam, took a deep breath and he died. Because he couldn't really wait, for the hereafter, or the amount and the intensity of the qualities of muttaqeen were so powerful that, he couldn't take it, and then he got connected to his jism misali, his, barzakhi body, which we all have, because our body will live in this dunya. But when we enter barzakh, there's a barzakhi body, very similar like how we dream. We have a body there, right? Very latif, very subtle, body is in barzakh. That's a jism misali, they call it, right? So he got connected to that. He left his body. So therefore, the ashab of Imam Hussain in particular, many of them, Zuhair, he was a Usmani maslak. Zuhair, the one who said, on the night, if they kill me 70 times, burn our body, throw our ashes all over the world, they bring us back to life, still we will sacrifice. This is Zuhair. Who is Zuhair? Zuhair doesn't want to see Imam Hussain, because he came from Kufa, he went for Hajj, and he was returning back to Kufa. And when Imam Hussain was camping, he would pack up his tent and leave, because he does not want to see Imam Hussain. His belief system is what? His belief system is Usmani. He's not a Shi'i like Habib ibn Mazahir or Hazrat Abbas or Ali Akbar or people who knew Imam Hussain, who came with Imam Hussain, who stayed with Imam Hussain. His belief system is different. But there is something, some sort of nisbat, some sort of understanding of the ahlebait, right? So here Zuhair, once he was still about to leave, all of a sudden Imam Hussain comes. He says, Zuhair, what's the plan? After seeing Imam Hussain, he said, okay, Agha, I'm with you, that's it. Right? But in terms of his intellectual understanding, maybe less than you. I mean, you know more about Shia Islam than Zuhair. Naturally, there's some very similar. I said Muhsin Hakim, a great marja. He comes to Hur, the grave of Hur, with his student, with the entourage of student. He comes to Hur. And he says, Hur, I'm better than you. I'm Sayyid, you're not. Right? Hur is not a Sayyid. I'm Sayyid and you're not. I'm better than you. Hur, I'm better than you. I'm a faqih. You're not. You're just a soldier. But what you have, I don't. You have the guarantee of akhirah. मैंने भी माफ किया, मेरे खुदा ने भी माफ किया. And what you have, I don't. The Rumal of Fatima. Because of that, I am your servant. I am your slave. Right? So he wasn't, in terms of his intellectual understanding, have that capacity to understand what theology is, what tawheed is, what philosophy is. Zuhair the same. But something happened. Somebody did something which changed their destiny. That's why we recite in Ziyarat-e-Rajabiyya, there's a special ziyarat that we recite to Imam. وَإِلَيْهِ تَعَوِيز وَتَفْوِيز. Oh Allah, you, oh Imam, you change the destiny. The Masumeen have the authority to change the destiny of people. That's what happened with Hur. That's what happened with Zuhair. Wahab is a Christian guy. And Imam Hussain never went there and said, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. If it was we, jo tabligh kare, unko Musalman karenge, Shia karenge, that's us. On the contrary, Imam Hussain went and digged the well. A person who is not a Muslim, what more does he want? In the desert to have a well, that's a commodity, lifelong. Imam Hussain asks, what's your issue is here? What's your problem here? Everything is good. There's no water. Scantity of water here. The mother says. Wahab was not there. Wahab did not even see. And the mother said, this is the issue. He said, okay, Imam Hussain digs the well there. And then he says, who are you? He said, I'm Hussein ibn Ali, son of great grandson of the Prophet, Islamic Prophet, and I'm here. I'm going for this mission. That's it. No taklif, no responsibility. He's not a Muslim. He's not a Shia. He's not Habib ibn Mazahir. Please come help Habib. He writes a letter. That's a responsibility, right? His Wahhab, Imam. He says, okay. Imam Hussein left. Then Wahhab comes. Wahhab comes and says, oh wow, there's a well here. What more we want, right? Yeah. And who did it? He says, somebody came. He said it was Hussein ibn Ali, some guy. And he digged the well and he asked, what's the problem? So he said, he's going there. And how does he look like? She said, well, he looked like Isa Masih. That's only she can imagine. The light. That's her capacity to imagine something that could be the greatest in Isa. And Hussein fit in that nur. She does not have that capacity to look further than that. She said, you look like Isa Masih. And Wahhab said, what are we doing here? Let's go. And there isn't any sort of narrative indication that he have recited kalama or not. I don't know. He sacrificed. He was killed. He was slain. They cut his head and throw to the mother. Mother throw it back and says, whatever is given in the way of Hussein is not taken back. What happened? Who did it? From a theological understanding of Christianity, a theological understanding of Sunni theology compared to us. We are Shias, we are Imamis, right? Completely something. Who had no Sunni, no Shia, no Christian. He's a soldier. He has no intellectual capacity. But what they become? What do we recite about them? We tell them, Assalamu alaikum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibbahu. And it's not like, oh, they did good stuff. That's why we are appreciating them and giving them some, honor or name, honorary name. There's no ta'aruf or takalluf when Masumin we are talking about. Is Imam al-Sadiq. Imam al-Sadiq in the ziyarat of Ashab of Imam Hussein is saying, Assalamu alaikum ya awliya Allah. So he's not just trying to, praise them for the sake of praising them. He means it. They have become from the awliya Allah. In another hadith, the fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, talking in regards to the ashab of Imam Hussein. This hadith is an authentic hadith that comes from Rasulullah. Rasulullah mentions this to Imam Hussein, and Imam Hussein mentions this to Imam Baqir, and Imam Baqir mentions this hadith to his Sahabi, companion. It's a long hadith. To cut the long hadith short, in order to understand the level of ma'rifat of the ashab of Imam Hussein, he says that all long hadiths, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. Eventually there will be a war, and the ashab, you will be with your jamaat, you will be with the companions, and these jamaat, these companions of yours will be so strong that the iron will not have effect on their body. They will be cut in pieces, but they will feel no pain. It will be like, Prophet recites the ayah of the Quran, it will be like how the fire changed to garden for Ibrahim. Hope Ibrahim was on a level for it to be changed. Many people are tossed in fire because they are Muslim or because they are this or because they are that. Sawab is there, for being strong on their iman and for being patient, so on and so forth. So here the fifth Imam is saying that your ashab are those, the iron will have no effect on their body. Now, just in the margin for our youngsters, that doesn't mean that there is no pain. There is pain. When you walk for Imam Hussein, in that heat, there is pain. Blisters and whatnot, but they have no effect. You don't really care, you don't really feel. Rather, you enjoy. It's pleasing. When you come back home after that walk, you see your blister, you say, it was so, and you go next year as well. If you are painful, it's difficult for you, why are you going again? Right? So the ashab of Islam is saying, I will reach, because pain in their, neurological sense is something playing in the back. Why? Because they have already left these bodies this body and they have entered the jism misali in barzakh. Anything happening here is like, for example, usually this happens to us as well. May Allah protect us and keep you all long life. When we die, we already start entering the body of our misali, of our barzakhi body. We start seeing our marhumeen, we start seeing ahlebait, although here they are pumping, they are putting things, it's nothing there, because it's already we have entered that body. There's no question of, they are trying to do the hard thing, the whatever they do, but it's not coming back. It has entered that body. It has entered that realm of barzakh, right? So there's no feeling as such, right? So the ashab of Imam, and this is possible for, we could say, okay, Imam Ali, when he was in sajda, they pulled the arrow, he felt nothing, right? Because it's on that level of spirituality and manaviyat. But here we have Wahab, here we have Hor, here we have Zuhair, here we have, they have reached to that level of manaviyat with their ma'rifat and understanding and that tawheedi vision that they have. They have reached to the level of seeing, what the Quran is saying, أَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّ فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, wherever you turn there's a face of Allah. And then there's calculation and understanding of that, where Ali says that Amirul Mu'mineen, مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْءٌ قَبْلَهُ Allah, بَعْدَهُ Allah, مَعَهُ Allah. I saw before everything Allah, after everything Allah, with everything Allah. Only the daughter of this person would say, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. Somebody like Harsh can say that, because the father is saying, before everything I saw Allah. So that means before Karbala is Allah, after Karbala is Allah, with Karbala is Allah. And that is nothing but Jamal, that is nothing but beauty. That's what Zainab saw, Salaamullah alayha, right? So if somebody with that ma'rifat, we can understand. But you have ashab who were lay people, but they all been raised to that level of Kamal. Who did this? Who orchestrated this? And who made sure that they reached that Kamal? Whether that be a 6-month-old Ali Asghar, whether that be Hazrat Qasim, or whether that be Abul Fazl Abbas, or Hur is Hussein. He made sure that all of them reached to that level of Kamal and perfection. Because they were so loyal, because they dedicated themselves and they have reached to that level of ma'rifat by being in that company of Hussein. By disciplining themselves, by being with Imam Hussein alayhi salam and listening from him the khutbat and speeches and sincerely seeking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. John was a slave of Abu Zar. He tears his shirt and he said, oh, you are to fight. He said, oh, are you crazy? He said, yes, ana majnoonul Hussein. They have become one with Hussein. There was not one Hussein who died on Ashura. There were 72 Hussein. They have all become fana in the Zat of Hussein. And Hussein was fana in the Zat of Allah. So now these awliya, there's so many things to speak about. Although I wasn't planning to speak about this at all, I was thinking something else. But alhamdulillah, because of your barakah and blessing, these things just came out. Salawat ala Muhammad wa just in the margin, and then we continue. So a gathering in which Fatima comes, which is Majlis of Hussein, how can that gathering be not valuable? Du'as are answered in this gathering. Allama Tabatabai says that two things to reach the level of Tawheed Ma'rifat. One is the Quran and the other is Majlis of Imam Hussein. These are the two things. Through these two you will reach where you want to reach. Because the Ashab of Imam Hussein, that's how they reach. All of these people were not, they were lay people like me, us. But they become the awliya because of closeness to Imam Hussein. These majalis and that because of the closeness to Fatima to Zahra. Right? So the body will have no effect. These are the ashab. They will and Imam Hussein made sure that they reached to that level. From a dunyavi point of view and from the ukhrawi point of view too. Look at the reward which Imam Hussein gave to her. What more we want? We will give all of our money and whatnot, just to have one thread from that Rumal of Fatima. We will work all our life to have just one little cloth from there. Imam Hussein gave that to this person who stopped, who came to Imam Hussein in the morning, not even at night. Because at night, scenes were different. At night, Imam Hussein gathered them, Maghrib namaz, prayed, gave a khutbah. He says, go, leave me alone. I will guarantee you the shafaat of Rasulullah. If you want Jannah, it's for you. Don't worry about it. You have done your share. They are after me. I'm okay. They're gonna, do whatever they want to do. You guys are free to go. That's the evening. But Zuhair is the one who spoke and said, so they stayed. Hur came in the morning. Night is something else. Hur came in the morning. So whether a person be in the belly of shaitan and the rujhan and what he wants, all is, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Whether he be with the ashab, because some of them were there with Imam Hussein. There was Abdullah ibn Hurra Jofi. He says, Agha Imam, this is my horse and this is my sword. The horse runs very fast. The sword is really good. Please, I'll need to leave. So I don't want your horse and sword, because I'm on Imam Hussein was on a mission. On a mission that has survived because of Imam Zainul Abidin, Hazrat Zainab today, which is this gathering, which is the gathering of maghfirat. If Hussein was not there, our maghfirat, imagine, there will be nothing. We will be doomed. This, our maghfirat and bakhshish and forgiveness is through Majlis of Imam Hussein. Just another thing which can take lengthy discussion. On the contrary, like as we said, the tear. In the ziyarat of Arba'in of Imam Hussein, we recite that, Assalamu alayka ya qatilul abara. In another ziyarah, where the hadith of Imam Hussein says, Ana qatilul abara, I am the qatil. I have been killed for abara means tear. There are different, explanation of this. One is I've been killed for tears because I've been killed because they cried with the shirt of Usman and they came and killed me. I've been killed for those tears. Is a animosity, of the Umayyads. History in itself is very important to reflect, right? And why your father did in Badr, and this battle of Karbala was not just a battle to get the bay'ah, to get the revenge of what they have, the ahlebait, Imam Ali and Rasulullah have done with. The other is, no, I've been killed for tears means that mujhe rula ke mara gaya. Imam Hussain was continuing. I've been killed for tears also mean I've been killed so that you cry. Because in crying is your bakhshish. In crying is your forgiveness. And the mercy from the ummah of Muslimah was gone. Was not there. The hearts were become so hard that they killed the grandson of Rasulullah in that fashion. Rasulullah is Rahmatul lil Alameen. The grandson of that very Rasulullah, they killed him that way. Any type of mercy that they have. So the maqsad of Rasul was to bring the mercy of Allah. Now Hussein, minni wa ana min Hussein. Hussein have to save this maqsad, which is the rahmat of Allah. So by being slain in that fashion, he brought that mercy back. Tears usually bring that mercy. Sila'ahul, what do we recite in Dua Kumain? Wasilahul buka. Sila means armor. And you need strong armor to fight, to fight the enemy. What is the strongest armor to fight shaitan? That is the tears, buka. So Imam Hussein and the Majlis of Imam Hussein and the tears that shed for Imam Hussein has a purpose, has a maqsad. The value been given to that by the presence of Siddiqa Kubra is for that. So Imam Hussein made sure that all of the ashab reached to that level of kamal. What level of kamal? That they become awliya, that they become the source of du'as. For example, if we take, as the time is very short, if we take Abul Fazl Abbas, Now, that is the highest level of Kamal that one can reach. Obviously, he's, Amirul Mu'mineen. Abbas is the son of Ali, right? And that's what Amirul Mu'mineen said before he died. Oh Abbas, when you go to Furat, you should know that you are my son, and Hussein is the son of Fatima. Right? Many people went to Furat. Many people conquered the whole Furat. Furat पे कब्जा किया है और कुछ वसीयतें याद आई है और उन वसीयतों से फुरात को से पानी ना पिया है. On or Muhammad, they went to Furat. They took the Furat in order to show that, oh mother, we are at Furat. But क्योंकि आपने वसीयत की है कि हुसैन के बच्चे प्यासे हैं, you're not gonna drink. कभी माँ वसीयत कर रही है, कभी बाप. अब्बास conquered the Furat. पानी को हाथ में लिया है कि ऐ नफ्स जा किसी और को धोखा दे, ये अली का बेटा है. क्योंकि बाबा ने कहा है कि हुसैन आगा मेरा मौला, क्योंकि पूरी ज़िंदगी हज़रत अब्बास ने आगा और मौला कह के पुकारा है. तो अभी आप देखिए, when he is like that, loyal servant, lover of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he has given everything of his to Imam Hussein. Hal jazaa'ul ihsan illa al-ihsan. Now Hussein have to do it. So Hussein have a lot of responsibilities. कभी आप तसव्वुर करें कि हम हमेशा ज़िक्र मुसीबत में जो इमाम हुसैन फेस कर रहे हैं उसको कैलकुलेट नहीं कर पाते. अली अकबर को भेज रहे हैं, खुल्क के हिसाब से, शक्ल के हिसाब से शबीह पैगंबर है, इल्म के हिसाब से. ओके, तो शबीह पैगंबर है इल्म के हिसाब से भी, तो इमामत अली अकबर के बाद कौन है? इमाम हुसैन के बाद कौन है? अली अकबर. But the mission is so important. Just like how Ibrahim have to slaughter, because the message is so important. इस्माइल को ज़ुबा करना है, बेटा है, नफ्स है, जिगर का टुकड़ा है, एक ही बेटा है, ज़ुबा करना है. The message is very important. The mission is so important. अब यहाँ पे हुसैन has all these calculations. Now, okay, fine. If that's the case, मेरा नाना का दीन बचेगा, रहमत रहेगी खुदा की, मानवियत रहेगी, तौहीद रहेगी. Okay, Ali Akbar, you go. Right? So he's calculating so many things. He has to make those decisions every second and every minute. The man have to decide. It's not a, मोजिज़ा हो रहा है और चीज़ें हो रहे हैं. No. He has to decide each and everything. Who's to send, when to send, how to do it, how to deal with things. Right. So here, Ali Akbar, for example, भेज दिया, कुर्बान किया. It was a sacrifice. हम समझेंगे अली अकबर, नाम अली अकबर था लेकिन इम्तिहान असगर. वहाँ पे नाम अली असगर है लेकिन इम्तिहान अकबर, क्योंकि 7 दफ़ा, right. So there's so many things. यानी करबला, मजालिस, आशुरा is full of treasure. हम अनफॉर्चुनेटली आसानी से आके जो है, अरे ये ज़ईफ़ है, वो ज़ईफ़ है, उसको सबको ख़त्म करना चाहते हैं. ओ मेहंदी, ओ ये ज़ईफ़ है, कहाँ से शादी होगी बाबा. वो जो anthropologists जो होते हैं, वो they are better than, I'm sorry to say, some of our ulama. They try to preserve things. कोई फजूल सी जो है रस्म होगी, लैंग्वेज होगी, वो एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट होंगे, भाई इसको प्रिजर्व करना है. There's a group of people in northern Africa, they speak this language or they have this tradition of dancing or clothing. They say, oh no, we got to preserve this. यहाँ पे बाबा परंपरा चली आई है मेहंदी की और ये आदाब और रसूम और मानवियत की जो मजालिस में होते हैं, उसे वो ख़त्म करो. बाबा try to think and reflect. मरसिया, नोहा और उसमें जो शेर है और उसमें जो चीज़ें बयान किए गए हैं उसके बारे में थोड़ा सोचिए. वो हक़ाइक़ रखते हैं, वो हकीकत रखते हैं, वो स्टोरीज़ या फेरी टेल्स नहीं है. जब अनीस कह रहे हैं कि शिमर ने कहा कि खंजर से बहन और भाई का गला काटूंगा, बाबा वो हकीकत है, वो फ़ातिमा है, ज़ैनब नहीं है. کیونکہ بریر سن رہے ہیں, رو رہی ہے روز ماں رات کو. وہ فاطمہ وہاں ہے, وہ مرثیہ ختم کر دو اور نوحہ بھی چھوٹا کر دو, اور مہندی کیا ہے؟ What is مہندی؟ مہندی is a sign of meeting the beloved. دلہن کو مہندی لگاتے ہیں کیونکہ اس کے beloved سے ملاقات ہوگی. یہاں پہ قاسم کی مہندی نہیں ہے, پورے شہداء کربلا کی مہندی ہے. سب ملاقات کر رہے ہیں اپنے معاشق سے, اس کو سمجھے. اچھا, جب ہم اسے سمجھیں گے and we try to educate, پھر اس میں اضافہ نہیں ہوگا. کوئی سہنائی نہیں بجے گی, لائٹاں نہیں لگائیں گے, جو آج کل ہو گیا انفارچونیٹلی. کیونکہ جب آپ اس کو کاٹیں گے تو وہ اور 4 برابر کریں گے, کیونکہ آپ اس کو بڑھیں بھائی ضعیف ہے اور فلاں کر نکالو, تو آپ اس کو 4 برابر جواب میں دیں گے. مگر اس کو آپ دیکھیں, یہ جو میں نے کہا, جو آرکیولوجسٹ جو ہوتے ہیں وہ لوگ پریزرو کرتے ہیں, یہ ایسا ہی ہے. They will not allow anything to be added or to be gone. So maybe something was there. ناردرن افریقہ میں رسول سنت ہے مہندی, اٹس سنت آف رسول اللہ ٹو مہندی. ہمارے بزرگ دادا دادی وغیرہ سب مہندی لگاتے تھے, آلویز دیئر ہینڈز ول بی فل آف مہندی. مشہور کیا کہتے ہیں اسکالر ہے سید حداد, روح مجرد کتاب ہے ان کی لائف کے بارے میں, liberated soul has been translated in English. He was in hospital and he says that I don't want to die in hospital. He speaks to the staff and he says, please allow me, I'll go home and I guarantee I'll not come back. So گھر جاتے ہیں, مہندی لگاتے ہیں اور چادر اوپر کھینچتے ہیں, کہتے ہیں انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. وہ مہندی علامت ہے ملاقات کی, اپنے معشوقہ سے ملاقات کی علامت ہے. حضرت قاسم کی مہندی اپنی جگہ, وہ تاریخی حساب سے we can analyze it, there was or there wasn't. Yes, the possibility is there because the treatment of the prisoners of war when you have a widow was different, when you have a non-widow was different. So maybe Imam Hussain wanted her daughter to be a widow rather than not married, because the possibility of the treatment would be different by the people who are imprisoning the prisoners. Hope from Imam Hussein's side he has to left no stones unturned. وہ پوری کوشش ہمیں کریں گے, چاہے وہ ان کے اوپر ہے وہ کیسا بیہیو کرے. That's not my problem. He has to fulfill all the gaps, right? So perhaps he might have done, and he might have announced, the news might have reached, because when they're going to be taking prisoners, so there could be many possibilities. فوری آ کے وہ ختم کرو, یہ نہیں ہے. Try to analyze it. There's so many gaps that we need to reflect and be inspired with what our traditional ulama, scholars, مرثیہ خان, نوح خان, اشعار have been written. Reflect on that. یہ شعر تو ایسا ہی نہیں آ جاتا ہے دماغ میں بیٹھے بیٹھے. There's a reason for the شعر to come. اس کو حق دے. وہ بھی اسی طرح سے جس طرح زہیر ہے. شاید آپ حبیب بن مظاہر ہوئیں گے, عالم ہوئیں گے آپ, لیکن وہ بھی تو زہیر ہی ہے. وہ بھی سوچ کے انسپائر ہو سکتا ہے حسین سے, وہ بھی کچھ حقیقت لکھ سکتا ہے. اس حقیقت کو بھی سوچے وہ کیا ہے, اس کے بارے میں تفکر کرے, تو غور کرے, پھر اس کو جو ہے پزل کی طرح حدیثوں سے اٹیچ کرے. That's one of the things that we are missing. صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد. So very briefly, because there is no time, حضرت عباس معنویت کے حساب سے آپ دیکھ لیں, because هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. So now he is Hussein, as he has Abbas have done everything what was possible. The question is from potentiality to actuality. Hussein is in his potentiality in Medina. He has to bring out to actuality, which happened in Karbala. If you want to know Hussein, it's Karbala. اور انسان کا جو آخری لمحہ ہوتا ہے, that is the most important. حسین کا آخری لمحہ دیکھیں آپ, جو مقاتل میں ذکر کیا گیا ہے, شمر سینے پہ ہے, اور امام حسین اس کے کہہ رہے ہیں کہ مجھے چھوڑ دے. He doesn't want to, not that he doesn't want to die. Imam Hussein says, leave me, spare my life. Do you think Imam Hussein will live? جبکہ وہ ہم مختار کے نامے میں اور مقاتل میں دیکھتے ہیں کہ شمر نے 3 headed arrows 3 لائے تھے. وہ ایسا اسلحہ تھا کہ وہ آسان نہیں تھا to buy and purchase. I mean if you go and research the type of armors were used, ابھی تو چیٹ جی پی ٹی آپ جائے ڈالیں تھوڑا بہت پڑھیں دیکھیں اندازہ کریں کہ جنگ جو ہے was not like it was a proper major war battle from 4,000 to 30,000. ٹھیک ہے بھائی 30,000 نہیں لے 4,000 ہی لے بابا 4,000 against 472 odd people. Imagine that, right? And what type of armors they have brought, what type of battalions were there, how they were organizing. It was a proper war. The style of their warfare was very Roman-like because they came from Syria. They were Romans, And here is Amirul Mu'mineen's style and methodology of warfare taught by Abul Fazl Abbas. Because عمر سعد بولتا ہے کہ رات میں زیادہ تر ہم نے وقت بتایا ہے کہ اگر عباس جنگ کو آ جائے تو ہم کیا کریں. Most of the time we spend on the night of Ashura calculating what to do if Abbas comes to fight. What's going to happen? Imam Hussein on the night of Ashura, he was checking out, the ditches and the ground of Ashura, how it was, right? There's so much. یہ 10 دن جو ہم مراسم مجالس کرتے ہیں, especially now it was holidays and I think it was in America now, the holidays is starting now. In any case, maybe next year holidays میں آئے گا. تو we should have workshops to look into this, to have a deeper understanding, of Ashura and the meaning behind all of these things. شمر امام حسین کے سینے پہ اور امام حسین سے جان بچاؤ. مقتل میں ملتا ہے کہ 3 headed arrows تھے. What do you mean by 3 headed arrows? Was it an arrow with the 3 heads or was it an arrow sharp in that way from 3 heads? ذوالفقار کا بھی یہی ڈسکشن ہے کہ ذوالفقار مطلب یہ ہے, ذوالفقار مطلب both sides جو ہے cutting edge تھا. ذوالفقار both side cutting edge, because usually there is cutting edges on one side, because when you are fighting it's very dangerous to have cutting edge on this side because you could hit and you could be hurt, because if both side is razor آپ کو مشکل ہوگی جنگ کرنے, ایک طرف رہے گا. تو ذوالفقار مطلب یہ ہے کہ امام علی کی تلوار دونوں طرف جو ہے دھار کی تھی یا اس طرح ذوالفقار تھی. That's discussion in itself, right? So here was the same in regards to 3 شعبے والا تیر. تو بہرحال 3 سے صرف تاریخ میں جو ایک تو یہ تھا کہ وہ ہم نے نشانہ بنایا گلے علی اصغر کا, اور پھر جب ماں خیام کے دروازے پہ دکھی تو حرملہ کا ہاتھ تھرانے لگا. تیر چلا لیکن نشانہ مس ہو گیا. دوسرا تیر لگا. آپ تصور کریں چھوٹا 6 مہینے والا بچہ اور جو باڈی لیفٹ ان 2 پیسز. تیسرا جو تھا وہ حسین کے سینے پہ لگا اور وہ زہر میں بجھا ہوا تھا. تو حسین تو مر جائیں گے مگر جان کا کیوں مانگ رہے ہیں؟ اسپیئر مائی لائف. یہاں پہ شمر کہتا ہے نہیں. اچھا یہاں پہ وہ حد تک بھی چلے آتے ہیں, بولتے ہیں تیرے کو شفاعت رسول اللہ دوں گا. What more a person Muslim wants? That شفاعت رسول اللہ guaranteed جنت. شمر سے مجھے انعام یزید کا چاہیے. اچھا ٹھیک ہے تھوڑا پانی پلا دے. Do you think Hussein wants water? Do you think Hussein wants to live? Now, like as I said, حسین کے پاس رسپانسبلٹی ہے کہ اس کے سب کو کمال تک پہنچائے, اور حسین کے پاس رسپانسبلٹی ہے جو اللہ نے انہیں رسپانسبلٹی اسے بھی پورا کرے. I mean, there's so many things going on with this one man. I mean, he's a human being too, right? Ana basharun mithlukum. I mean, look at the preciseness, the focus. اسی لیے کہتے ہیں میں نے ایسا جنگجو نہیں دیکھا کہ اتنے لاشیں اٹھائے لیکن اس طرح سے جنگ کر رہا ہے. I mean, it's like he has to fight, he has to calculate, he has to think, he has to family, he has women and children. I mean, it's like, what is this man? And here امام حسین کی خود ایک جرنی ہے, رسپانسبلٹی ہے, اس کو بھی فلفل کرنا ہے. تو پانی مانگا, یعنی پوری امید امام حسین ان کا وجود نہیں ہے. He's not thinking about him, he's thinking about Shimr, he's thinking about, it's not Imam Hussein here, it's about Shimr, right? That maybe he may be saved, maybe اس کے دل میں رحم آ جائے, مجھے نہیں مارے, پانی دے دے, اس کی انسانیت جاگ جائے. یا یہ بھی ہو سکتا ہے کہ جب آپ ایڈریس کر رہے ہیں کہ حسین جو ہے زیارت جامع میں کہا امنا اور رحمان ہے, رحمت کے مینار ہے, اس زمین پر. تو وہ رسپانسبلٹی تو فلفل کرنا ہے کہ میرے ایسا نہیں ہو جائے کہ میری انا اس میں جا جائے. یو نو مرحب نے تھوکا تھا, he left. I don't want my nafs to be there. Imam Ali spit on it, right? مرحب تھا وہ, کیا تھا وہ, یا عامر ابن عبدود تھا. So he left him because he does not want him to be, his nafs to be there. And this is a Hussein ibn Ali, obviously, right? Right. So he made sure that it happens. And then after all of that, the Maqatil said, Fatabassama. Hussein ne muskuraya. And khatam. It was his last smile. A last goodbye smile to the whole dunya, as I say. Right? After all of that, perhaps شاید اتنی زبان میں طاقت نہ ہو کہ کہہ سکے فزتو برب الکعبہ. تو یہ مسکراہٹ فزتو برب الکعبہ کی جو ہے جگہ تھی. تو عباس, now I'm finishing with that, اس مقام پہ لے جایا عباس کو کہ وہ بنا دیا یا کاشف الکرب عن وجہ الحسین, اکشف کربی بحق اخیک الحسین. What is that? That's the door of hajat and resolve of issues and problems. کاشف الکرب اگر آپ صرف جملہ لگائے کسی کو دے, وہ بولیں گے اللہ ہے یہ, بس اللہ کاشف الکرب ہے اور کوئی تو ہو ہی نہیں سکتا. مگر حسین نے عباس کو کاشف الکرب کا درجہ دیا, اس مقام پہ لے جا پہنچا کہ عباس ہو بہو ریفلیکٹ کرے خدا متعال. حاجت جو اللہ دیتا ہے وہ عباس کے در سے ملی, عباس کے ذریعے سے ملی, جیسے ریفلیکشن آف دا اللہ سبحانہ وتعالی آن ارتھ as all of the انسان کامل, the perfect soul, معصومین, حضرت زینب, بی بی فاطمہ, they are all, you know, they are the reflection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. So he made sure that Abbas reaches to that level. And he reached to that level not only for you and me, because اس میں ذکر میں ہم بولتے ہیں یا کاشف الکرب عن وجہ الحسین. اب پھر ابھی ہم کہہ رہے تھے کہ امام حسین کا آپ تصور کریں, so many things he has. امام حسین کا جو ڈسٹریس ہے, کرب ہے, مشکلات ہے, اس کا دور کرنے والا کون ہے؟ عباس ہے. میری آپ کی مشکل چھوٹی ہے, لیکن یہ حسین کی مشکل کی بات ہم کر رہے ہیں, رائٹ؟ سو از عباس who is that. although امام بھی جو ہے کاشف الکرب ہے, لیکن یہاں پہ درجہ عباس بتلایا جا رہا ہے. اور شاید میں یہ بھی کہوں گا کہ ہاں, حسین جس طرح سے اللہ نے دروازے رکھے ہیں, جو مشکل دور کرنے والا دروازہ حسین کے لیے بھی عباس ہے. کیونکہ جب عباس کی خبر آئی تو میرا کمر ٹوٹ گئی, میرے بھائی, my back is broken. سو دنیاوی حساب سے, اخروی حساب سے, معنوی حساب سے وہ درجے پہ لے جا کے پہنچا. یہ جملہ تمام اور مسائل. دنیاوی حساب سے کیا کیا؟ پوری عمر عباس نے آغا کہہ کے پکارا, my master, all his life. What do you think Abbas wants from this world? عباس کی پوری دنیا ہے کیا اس وقت؟ عباس کی پوری دنیا یہ ہے کہ میں حسین کو ایک دفعہ بھائی کہہ کے پکاروں. That's the kamal of Abbas. That's the perfection of Abbas in this dunya. معنوی حساب سے تو بھائی وغیرہ وہ ہے, لیکن کبھی but that's an honor to call Hussein brother, which he didn't. But Hussein made sure that Abbas calls him brother before he dies. بھیا میری وصیت ہے کہ آپ نے تمام عمر مجھے آغا اور مولا کہہ کے پکارا. میں چاہتا ہوں کہ آپ اس دنیا سے جانے سے پہلے مجھے بھائی کہہ کے پکاریں. That's the highest level that one can achieve. امام حسن بھائی ہے, یہاں پہ عباس کہہ رہے ہیں بھائی. So he had to raise each and every, if we reflect on the lives of all of the ashab and see who they were and what they were and what level they reached. And Hussein played that magic, played that role. He orchestrated it, everything in the best way possible. And then he preserved that through that transferring to his son Ali ibn al-Hussein. جب خیمے میں آتے ہیں، بیمار ہے، شاید مشیت الہی یہ تھی کہ امامت علی ابن الحسین کے ذریعے جو ہے آگے بڑھے. امام کو اٹھاتے ہیں، علی کو اٹھاتے ہیں، علی ابن الحسین کو اٹھاتے ہیں، امام سجاد کو اٹھاتے ہیں اور کہتے ہیں بیٹا سجاد خدا حافظ. سجاد ہوش میں آ کے دیکھتے ہیں بابا کیا جنگ کی آپ نے نیت کی ہے، کیونکہ جنگی لباس پہنا ہے، اور یہاں پہ تعجب کرتے ہیں کہ آپ نے جنگی لباس کیوں پہنا ہے. پھر ایک ایک کے بارے میں پوچھنا شروع کرتے ہیں. بابا حبیب ابن مظاہر کہاں ہے؟ Where is حبیب ابن مظاہر؟ He said, he's dead. Where is مسلم ابن اوسجہ؟ Where is زہیر؟ Where is all of the اصحاب کا ایک ایک نام لیتے ہیں. Where is my uncle عباس؟ عباس کہاں ہے؟ یہاں پہ امام حسین، امام زین العابدین کے سینے پہ ہاتھ رکھتے ہیں، کہتا ہیں بیٹے یہ جان لے کہ اس قیام میں دو مرد ہے، تو ہے اور میں، اور کوئی نہیں. سب قتل ہو گئے، سب شہید ہو چکے ہیں. امام کے لیے یہ سخت تھا، امام سجاد کے لیے مصیبت سخت امتحان تھا. یہاں پہ کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ وہ اٹھنے کی کوشش کرے، جنگ کرنے کی کوشش کرے، تلوار کے لیے مانگتے ہیں بی بی زینب سے، لیکن یہاں پہ امام حسین نے جو امانتیں تھیں امامت کی امام زین العابدین کے سپرد کی. پھر اس کے بعد زینب سے کہا کہ سجاد کا خیال رکھنا، کیونکہ اسی لیے جب بھی کوفے میں ہو یا شام میں جب سجاد کے اوپر جو ہے آنچ آتی تھی تو زینب اپنے آپ کو سجاد کے اوپر گرا دیتی تھی کہ سجاد کی جان کسی بھی طرح بچ جائے. لیکن وہ وقت بھی آیا تھا جب سجاد کو گرفتار کر کے کوفے کی طرف لے جایا جا رہا تھا، اور جب سجاد نے پہلی دفعہ اپنے بابا کی لاش دیکھی، جب دیکھ کے اس لاش کو حیرت کرنے لگے کہ کس طرح سے یہ ممکن ہے کہ میرے بابا کی لاش بے گور و کفن، بے دو سر کے بغیر اس طرح سے مقتل میں ہے، اور امام سجاد توق اور زنجیر میں ہے اور کچھ کر نہیں پا رہے ہیں. یہاں پہ زینب کہتی ہے کہ میں دیکھ رہی تھی سجاد کو اور ایسا لگا کہ سجاد کی روح پرواز کر جائے گی. اس وقت میں آگے بڑھی اور میں نے سجاد کا شانہ ہلا کر کہا بیٹا سجاد انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. زینب کے پاس بھی چادر نہیں کہ کفن دے سکے. پھر وہ وقت بھی تھا سجاد کا جب علم امامت سے امام کی لاش کو دفن کرنے کے لیے آتے ہیں، کیونکہ جسم کو اٹھانا چاہتے ہیں لیکن اٹھا نہیں سکتے کیونکہ جسم کے پرزے ہو چکے ہیں. کیونکہ کہا گیا ہے کہ عاشور کے دن ایک لاش پائمال ہوئی تھی، وہ تھی لاش امام حسین علیہ السلام. خبر بنائی اور پھر اس کے بعد اس خبر پہ ہاتھ سے لکھا ہذا قبر حسین و قتل عطشانہ، یہ خبر حسین ہے جو پیاسا شہید کیا گیا ہے. پھر وہ وقت بھی آ جاتا ہے کہ جب سجاد کو کوفہ میں لے جایا جاتا ہے، اور پھر بہت سخت منزل تھی، کیونکہ جب سجاد سے پوچھا گیا کہ آپ کے لیے سب سے سخت منزل کہاں پر تھی تو امام فرماتے ہیں الشام الشام الشام. امام کے لیے آسان نہیں تھا کہ بیویوں کو، بہنوں کو، بیٹیوں کو بے مقنع و چادر لعینوں کے بیچ دیکھا جائے، اور پھر اس کے بعد مکان کو سجایا گیا، بازار کو سجایا گیا، اس کے بعد اس بازار میں بیویوں کو لے جایا گیا، اور سر مبارک اصحاب و امام حسین علیہ السلام بیویوں کے نزدیک لے جایا جاتا تھا، کیونکہ لوگ کی نظر جب سر پہ پڑتی تھی تو بیویوں پہ پڑتی تھی. تحقیر کرنا تھا، بے حرمتی کرنا تھا. یہ تھا شام، کیونکہ بازار سجانے کے لیے کئی دن لگے اور امام وہاں پہ انتظار کرتے رہے. پھر وہ وقت بھی آ گیا جب یزید کے دربار میں لے جائے گئے. ایک زنجیر تھی، ایک رسن تھی جس میں چھوٹا گلا بھی بندھا ہوا تھا سجاد کی بہن سکینہ، اور پھر جب ایک بی بی اٹھتی تھی، پھوپھی اماں زینب اٹھتی تھی، یہ چھوٹی بچی اپنا پاؤں اٹھا لیتی تھی، کیونکہ ایک رسی میں، ایک رسن میں یہ تمام جو ہے بندھے ہوئے تھے. اور یہاں پہ وہ وقت تھا کہ سجاد وہاں پہ موجود ہے، اور ایک فرد آگے بڑھ کے کہتا ہے کہ میں سکینہ کو کنیزی میں لینا چاہتا ہوں. یہ بہت سخت وقت تھا سجاد کے لیے. آخر یہ کہہ کیا رہا ہے؟ یہ نواسی رسول ہے، یہ رسول اور اہل بیت کے گھرانے والے ہیں. یہاں پہ فضا آ کے بڑھ کے کہتی ہے کہ آخر تو کہہ کیا رہا ہے؟ اور پھر یہ ہونے نہ دیا. اور پھر فضا کے قبیلے والے وہاں پہ موجود تھے، تلوار نکال لیے، یہ اجازت نہیں دی. یہ شاید دوسرا شام ہو. پھر وہ تیسرا وقت بھی آتا ہے جب سکینہ گریہ کرتے ہوئے بیدار ہوتی ہے اور بابا کو یاد کرتی ہے، اور سر حسین لایا گیا اور سکینہ کو دیا گیا. سکینہ گفتگو کرنے لگتی ہے اس سر سے، کہتی ہے، سب سے پہلے پوچھتی ہے بابا جان، بوسہ لیتے ہوئے لب حسین کو، کہتی ہے بابا جان کیا آپ کو انہوں نے پانی دیا تھا شہید کرنے سے پہلے؟ پھر اس کے بعد کہتی بابا جان یہ زخم پیشانی پہ کیسا ہے؟ بابا جان یہ خون کیسا ہے؟ بابا جان میرا بھائی اکبر کہاں ہے؟ بابا جان اصغر کو پانی ملا یا نہ ملا؟ پھر اس کے بعد گریہ کرتے کرتے بیٹھ جاتی ہے. پھر گفتگو شروع کرتی ہے. پھر کہتی ہے بابا جان آپ کے جانے کے بعد قیام کو جلایا گیا. بابا جان آپ کے جانے کے بعد بالیاں چھینے گئے، تماچے مارے گئے. میں آگے جاتی تھی، گریہ کرتی تھی تو مجھے تماچے مارے جاتے تھے. یہاں پہ گریہ کرتے کرتے بچی خاموش ہو جاتی ہے. زینب کہتی ہے سجاد ذرا دیکھو سکینہ، کیونکہ یہ امانت ہے، حسین ہے. اور پھر اس کے بعد سجاد شانہ ہلاتے ہیں سکینہ کا، کہتے ہیں اِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّ إِلَيْهِ راجعون. پھوپھی اماں سکینہ نہیں رہی، اور پھر اسی زندان میں، اسی کوخ اور زنجیر میں چھوٹی سی خبر، اور وہی کفن نہ ملا لیکن وہی جلا ہوا کرتا سکینہ کو شاید یہ الشام تیسرا شام تھا. سجاد نے کیا کیا دیکھا، الشام الشام الشام. پھر وہ وقت بھی آ گیا جب سجاد کو زہر دیا گیا اور سجاد تڑپنے لگے. اس زہر کھا کر 30 سال گریہ کیا ہے ہمارے امام نے، 30 سال. اور جب ان سے پوچھا جاتا تھا آخر آپ اتنا کیوں گریہ کرتے ہو، تو کہتے تھے کہ یعقوب نے یوسف کے لیے گریہ کیا جبکہ وہ جانتے تھے یوسف زندہ تھے، لیکن میں کیسا گریہ نہ کروں؟ میرا بابا اس طرح سے شہید ہوا، میرا بھائی اس طرح سے شہید ہوا، میرا پورا گھرانہ لٹ گیا، میں کس طرح سے گریہ نہ کروں؟ پھر وہ وقت بھی آ گیا، گریہ کرتے کرتے سجاد اس دنیا سے، سجاد کی روح پرواز گئی. ایک ایسا وفادار اونٹ تھا سجاد کا کہ جب اس وفادار اونٹ کو لے جایا گیا مرقد سجاد پر، اس اونٹ نے اپنے سر کو مار مار کر جان دے دی. الا لعنت اللہ علی قوم الظالمین سیعلم الذین ظلموا.